Our topic today is giving to yourself. My name is Tim Jenkins. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. Excuse me. I'm the director of Lighthouse Wellness Centers and Orland Park Counselors. And so that is a private practice. We're a group of counselors. We have LCPCs, we have LSWs, we have interns, we have externs, so students. So that's who I am. I'm going to assume you folks know each other. If you want to introduce yourself, you're welcome to. And if you have a comment or something, let us know who you are. Say your name. Giving to yourself. Seminar goals. We're going to examine some of the obstacles to giving to yourself. This is harder than it looks. This is deceptively simple. We're going to understand the benefits of giving to yourself and why that is so important. We're going to explore the relationship between giving to yourself and others, and why people who give to others live longer, healthier lives. We're going to discover new ways to give to yourself, things that you hadn't thought of before, which is why these conversations, rather than a lecture, these conversations are so important. The thing that you think of, the thing that you want to add, other folks haven't experienced that. So share your knowledge. Okay. And lastly, we're going to know the benefits of our EAP, formerly Cigna, now called Evernorth. The EAP, the Employee Assistance Program. I'd like to reserve a few minutes at the end. Give us about 40 minutes, and reserve a few minutes at the end to talk about the EAP. Make sense? Our ability to give to ourselves impacts everything in life. It impacts everything in life. It impacts every word that you say. It impacts every motion you make, every gesture that you make, every thought that you have. Why? Why? Because if you are not well and healthy inside of your mind and your heart, you can't be there for other people. You need to take care of yourself, number one, so that you can be there for the very important people in your life, the children, your family, yes, coworkers, they're people too, right? So, what's going on with that? Me first, but I don't want to seem selfish. I feel guilty putting my needs first. Does that come up for you guys? Does that ever come up? Yeah. We talked about guilt the last meeting that we were in. A couple of folks from that meeting are in here, right? Guilt is a major part of that. Right? Freud talked about guilt all the time. But it's a weird, elusive feeling that we don't really speak that much outright. I don't walk around going like, oh, I feel guilty not taking my kids to that soccer thing they want to go to because I've got to take Aunt Da to the thing. You know, we don't walk around kind of going, oh, it's guilt. Yeah. We just kind of go, I'm going to do that one. And then we deal with the ramifications of those feelings. We don't put words to it. We generally don't talk about it. I mean, if we're really healthy, we might have a relationship where we kind of go, honey, I just feel so guilty about taking the kids. It's great when we talk like that because that's how we get our feelings out. That's how we process our feelings. And by process, I mean think and feel, think and feel, and then they go away. And then we resolve those thoughts. What else? I can't take the time. There's too much to do. No one feels this way, right? Too much to do. We were talking about that in our last meeting. I mean, it is endemic not having enough time. There's only 24 hours in a day. My God, does that mean that I have to cut back on my sleep from 6 hours to 4.5? Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to things encroaching upon my life, I feel it more and more and more. Others rely upon me. I don't want to disappoint you. And I feel like if I don't do it, I'll disappoint you. We talked about how hard it was saying no. Even with something that's clearly optional. Hey, Tim, you want to go to Panera this afternoon? It'll be really fun. We'll go there and get a sandwich and pay $17. I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to spend $17 on tiny little bowl of soup and half a sandwich. I don't want to disappoint you though, so I'll go. I paid $4.50 for a cookie the other day. I went because I didn't want to disappoint somebody, right? I just don't know how to change it. Why? Why is change so hard for us human beings? Because human beings are nothing if not adaptable. We adapt to things really easily. It's like a television in the room where it gets turned up and it gets turned up and it gets turned up until we go, why is that blaring? Let's turn that down. We've adapted to that for hours and hours and hours. And it's become noise pollution, some sort of fights going on a talk show. My God, it's horrible. We adapt. We adapt. I don't know how to change. Well, it's not surprising in this day and age how painful that can be because we get used to things so much. Am I used to 6.5 hours of sleep? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. What are you guys used to? What are you guys used to that maybe we shouldn't be used to? What do you guys say? I realized I'm used to traffic in Chicago and potholes. Oh, there's a good one over there. Cell phones. The Galaxy Taskmaster. Yes. 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 Yeah, it controls us, doesn't it? Right? In a way, we kind of want it to control us. And in a way, sometimes it's good that we make it control us. But it can really control us, and maybe that's not so good. Yep. I spent a few days out in Phoenix, and I came back to Chicago, and my spouse was riding next to me, coming home from the airport, and it's just Chicago streets, coming back down Midway on Cicero Avenue, right? And we went, why were we used to this, right? She even went, ow, when we went over them, right? And we were used to not going over them. We get used to things. What do you guys get used to? Cell phones is a big one. Please.
I'm used to insomnia.
Insomnia, yes.
I don't sleep well, I toss and turn.
Absolutely. I never had any problems with insomnia or using artificial stimulants to stay awake during the daytime. No. Yeah. Used to be a cup of coffee was how big? About that tall, about that big around, right? Right? You get a refill. I want a refill. Yeah. Right? Nowadays, what is it? A Trenta at Starbucks, right? Does that come with a handle? Because I feel like it needs a handle on there, like a pail with a bucket. Right? Oh my gosh. We are a society that's become dependent on legal stimulants in order to stay awake during the day because of the 6 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep that we do get and catch up later on the weekend. Is it broken? Is it interrupted? Do you sleep? Do you sleep like a child, or do you toss and turn because you're worried? Do you toss and turn because, is it time to wake up? No, okay. It's only 4 o'clock. Is it time to wake up? It's only 4:04. Right? Over and over and over again, we have interruptions, right? I don't know how to change. We get used to things, like the loud TV in the room that we need to switch off. It's not selfish to put yourself first. It's self-full. You guys have heard me speak for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I like to talk. Why? Why is it important to put yourself first? What did I just say a moment ago?
It's like a caretaker, you know, when you're caring for someone else, and then the caretaker gets burned out, and it's no good to the person you're giving care to.
I like that iconography. That's wonderful. The caretaker icon, right? The person who's the rock. They're there. But what happens when that is shaken? Yeah, it's important to do that because giving to yourself is not the same as taking for yourself. It's not taking from other. It's being better at giving to other. It's being measured at caretaking. Think of a person who knows, think of a person you know who gives to themselves and to whom you respect. I couldn't think of one either.
I have a girlfriend that does that.
Please tell us about her. Please tell us about her.
She was a superintendent for the school district. She lost her son in decided that she was gonna start taking care of herself better because she couldn't be there for anybody else until she got herself better.
Wow.
And she said not to be selfish, you know, she goes, don't look at it as being selfish. She goes, you need that time. So she goes and runs half marathons every weekend in different states.
What a profound way of being, brought on by a very tragic and unfortunate circumstance. But sometimes we need powerful things to make us open our eyes and wake up to the reality that life is short and that we have to take care of ourselves first. Absolutely. Anybody else know somebody like that? It's hard for me to figure it out. Because everybody knows that I know is on a circuit lecture and they have all kinds of things scheduled out until 7:30 p.m. on Friday. That's my week. How about you guys? You guys know anybody that does this?
I would say, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
just said mom. Mom does this usually. Your mother.
I have a son who's very type B. I'm not, and I really respect that and admire that in him because he takes time out to do things with his friends and do things with his wife, and you know, and it's like a ritual. I mean, every Tuesday I'm doing this, every Friday I'm doing this, and I give him a lot of credit. He's
That's
young
great.
and he knows more than I do.
That's great. Are some of those things that he does, sports activities, friends get together activities? I always admire people that are like, oh no, I can't do that. Like Thursday at 6 is my thing with the guys at the club thing, or the activity, or we do frisbee golf, you know, or whatever it is. I do that regularly. Yeah. You were saying, Mom? You said,
Yeah.
Mom.
Usually this is who I think of when a person is right. Your mom typically is the person I think of.
It's always admirable when I bump into that type of person. And I don't know you guys, but when I see the stakes as valuable, I have a harder time taking care of myself. I have a harder time prioritizing. Like, hey Tim, you want to talk? You'll do like several speeches, and you'll really like that. We know you like to hear yourself talk, and yeah, we'll up your rate a little bit. We'll dangle a carrot. Right? Oh well, I've got that thing. No, I don't have that thing. This is a priority, right? Would I say no? Gosh, I feel hard pressed to say no to something like that. When the stakes are high, it's an opportunity. I'll be able to put a CV line on my CV, whatever that means. What qualities did they have that you admire? Prioritizing themselves first. It's just recreation. Would you give that up to do a job that paid you 25% more than the normal pay?
I would. He wouldn't.
I would have a hard time with that. You would have a hard time with that, right? Well, what are we going to do about that? Right? This is all about their values, isn't it? How much do we admire those people who put themselves first? What if you don't? Physical, emotional, and spiritual health can be compromised. Oh, that's an understatement. Gosh, that's 6 hours of sleep that's really helping me out. May build resentment to those who depend upon you, because I'm not there for other people if I'm not there for myself first. And if I'm not there for myself first, what happens? I'm not there for those other people. Yeah, sorry I can't help you out, Bob. I sold out to take a job doing this job for more money, and wish I could come to Frisbee Golf, but sorry, you guys are gonna have to do it without me.
I have a couple of comments from the
Please,
chat.
please.
Michelle Lyman said, I have a coworker who reminds me to practice self-care. She leaves me post-it notes on my desk as a reminder.
Oh,
And then Melissa said, I think that the younger generation are thinking balancing giving to themselves, such as working out regularly. So, there's a mindset of wellness and working out regularly and giving to yourselves. And that's, something that we all need to do, but I think that's something that happened even more.
the group noted that in our last hour, didn't they? We said how valuable small communications can be. Post-it note on the mirror, the proverbial post-it note in your kid's lunch, right? And then the generational differences, you know, between us and your son's generation, the younger than that, younger generation, right? There's some prioritize that happen naturally for them. And we kind of go, I wouldn't want to give up that job because it pays 20 cents more, right? And they kind of go,
One person, Brianna, said in the beginning, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
oh.
So it's really important.
Did you guys all hear that? You cannot pour from an empty cup. Who was that? That's wisdom.
Brianna.
Brianna, thank you for your wisdom, Brianna. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Yes, you have to fill yourself before you can help others, before you can give to others. Self-esteem suffers. It's really easy to gloss over the fact that you haven't taken care of yourself, right? Those who depend on you may lose confidence in your ability to meet their needs. This would be tragic, but it happens, right? It's subtle, you know? Our kids just, Dad's busy. Dad, he has to work a lot, you know? Right. What's the benefit to you? What's the benefit to you to controlling your self-care? Decrease your stress? Wow, there's a number of levels there, isn't there? What would be the first one for you guys? If you control things in your life, even just a little bit, what would be the first stressor that you would gain control of, that you would lower? Your what?
Your attitude.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because what does stress do? The first thing that stress does is it makes you irritable, doesn't it? But we don't realize it. Yeah, your attitude would be better. Would you be more socially approachable? Could you make friends that you wouldn't have otherwise made? Right? I've been known to walk down the hallway, well, you know, with my phone right here, of course, but with a scowl on my face. I'm not very approachable when I look like this, right? Your attitude, yes. If you walk down the hallway and you lock eyes with people, you know, have a morning, you know, you're going to be more approachable, yes. Improve your attitude, wonderful. What else? What else is the first kind of thing to go away when you decrease your stress?
You have more energy.
More energy, I love it, absolutely. Because you're not expending energy doing what? Intense, absolutely. Increase your self-esteem. If you're more approachable, people like you, they walk up and they say, hey, how's it going? Right? Self-esteem. Self-talk. Talk that's inside of your head, right up here. You know, I didn't crack at that person, I smiled at that person. That's an avenue of self-esteem. Boosting energy and enhancing well-being. Absolutely. Benefits to others. I mean, we mentioned some of these, right? We'd be able to help out a little bit more, give more freely, invest fully, focus fully in the moment. This is a big one. You know, most of our society spends a whole lot of time responding to whatever it is that's on that 5 by 6 inch phone, myself included. I mean, it interrupts us frequently, doesn't it, right? Focus fully in the moment. Can 15 minutes go by without me responding to that? Well, when I'm here, because I turn it off. If it wasn't off, it would really be disrupting my focus, wouldn't it? So I turn it off for events like this. Well, what if you're sitting there working and it interrupts you? What if you're sitting there with family at dinner time and it interrupts you? What if you're sitting there taking 5 minutes, taking 10 minutes? The folks who attended last section, I'm a huge advocate of taking little 5 or 10-minute breaks, but you don't want that interrupted. Provide others with an increased sense of security. You're there for them. By the way, if anybody likes these slides and wants them, I can email these slides to you at the end of the section, just let me know. Serve as a positive role model. I like that one too. What are the most important gifts that you can give yourself and others? These are mirrored, aren't they? Love, time, respect, permission, and forgiveness. very powerful to say, I'm so sorry that I did that. I wish that wouldn't have happened. I'm going to try really hard to never let that happen again. But when have you said this to yourself? Tim, I'm really sorry that I didn't take that scheduled 15-minute break. Instead, I responded to some emails and I sent a text message, and then someone that I texted decided that they would take up time from 2:30 to 3:30 instead of me having that as my lunch. I'm really sorry, Tim. I've learned a lesson from that. I'm going to block that on my schedule. And I'm going to put a note in there that says, you're the most important one. Because if I'm not well, what did she say? What did she say? You can't pour from an empty cup. Excellent. I want you to apply these things to you. And I love, of course, Lucille Ball's quote, love yourself first and everything falls into line. Small steps to self-giving. What's the most important out of all of these?
Saying no and being okay with it.
Yep. How hard is it to say no to other people? No, I'm sorry, Monica. I'm unable to meet for supervision today from 2:30 to 3:30. It's hard, not hard for me to mouth those words, but it's emotionally charged. I'm not meeting someone's needs. They have needs. I have a student. She has needs. She's worried. There's a client. It's not an emergency. She has needs. It's hard for me to say no to that. What's hard for you guys to say no to? What's your hardest thing?
Say no to the boss.
No to the boss. Want to impress them? Want to let them know I'm doing good. I'm doing your work for you. How about somebody else? What's hard for you guys to say no to?
Kids.
Kids. Ooh. Oh yeah. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter that is just the cutest thing in the world, and it's the small things that disappoint her. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Marmar. I didn't bring you a cake pop. It's so hard. It's so hard to say no. It's so hard to disappoint a child. You know? Absolutely.
I have two comments.
Please.
One from the chat. By dedicating time to self-care, we can become a more fulfilled, compassionate, and effective individuals in all aspects of our lives. And the second one, I think people feel this way. They're just not saying it, so I'm going to read it. It's a good thing, and maybe you can comment towards that. Something that confuses me about this topic in the workplace is that it tends to emphasize the role of individual employee to practice self-care, as though the origin of the issue is within the employee. But I think those internal obstacles to self-care primarily come from the employers and workplace culture. I think the most effective way to help employees do self-care is to reduce their workload and to respect their work-life balance. And I think sometimes the focus on the employee choosing self-care obfuscates that.
Obfuscates, yes.
Yeah, so, just some thought about, what.
Obfuscate means to say something but not actually say it.
Right, so what can you share for people who may think that and may have not said that, but.
I think the hard part, in my opinion, the hard part is having a boss in the first place, because don't we, doesn't that get so complex right off the bat? You're not my parent, but you're in control of some of my happiness, and I kind of want to please you intrinsically, right? And I can't really say the truth, right? When was the last time that you actually said a bold-faced truth to your boss? It's very hard to do. The reason why I didn't get this done is because this whole system is screwed. I was, you sent me the wrong slides, and I downloaded them from the site, and it wasn't even the same stuff, and I'm not going to say that. That's the truth. I'll say it to you guys. I love Ever. I really do.
One of the things that might help is you're not actually doing it for your boss, you're serving a higher purpose.
Purpose. The first quote was purpose.
It's not about him, it's about something much bigger.
Indeed, indeed. The first quote was purpose, and I wanted to circle back to that purpose, right? And you just really hit the nail on the head. Why do I do this? Money. That's why I do this. Money. Wait a minute. I could be a banker, you know. I mean, you all are in educational systems in some capacity. I'm in a health system. We didn't do this because we're going to roll a barrel of money out the door, right? Wait a minute. Do we work for money? Yes, we work for money, but is it something else? Is it something greater? Right? Someone mentioned working with the animals on site. Boy, something greater. You know? What's your purpose?
I think regarding the culture comment, I think it's dangerous if you expect your employer to create culture that works for you, because we all demand different things. So, I mean,
And what do you do?
I think you got to lead the culture if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't make you happy and healthy. I mean, if that's, you know, you got to either that or you need to work your, you know, requirements around your employer's culture. If they're not compatible, you're going to give up on taking care of yourself because of your employer. That's not a healthy condition.
How much culture can you create? You have some control. Some control. Right? She takes great care of these animals, prioritizes them, sometimes over her own needs. Is that part of the culture? You guys take great care of these students, right? Is that part of the culture? Yeah. A big part of why we're here are the underlying values that we all have that we apply to these circumstances. We're not going to roll out of here with a barrel of money on one of those dollies like it's a refrigerator. Right? But when you lay your head down at night, you'll have done something really remarkable, really extraordinary. I don't know about you guys, but I count some of the most valuable things that have ever been said to me by some of the educators, faculty, and staff in my life. Sometimes it's just the little things too, the little comments. You know, sometimes it's not, you know, the professor. You know, it's just a TA, or sometimes it's just the janitor Carl, right, from the Breakfast Club. Leans on his thing and goes, have a good day. Sometimes it's just those little things. Can we cultivate those cultures? How many people walk down this hallway, come into this room, and somebody nodded at them, acknowledged them, said hello to them? I did several times. I didn't do it until somebody did it to me. You guys have a culture here. Several people said hello, good morning, hi. You know, one person did the Iowa guy to guy hello, which is this. That's a sentence right there. I'm from Iowa. That's a whole sentence, right? It's acknowledging it. It's how's it going? Yeah, you can influence culture right here. Is that culture based upon nothing, or is that culture based upon values? What are your values inside? What are your things that are important that allow you to say, I'm sorry, I am unable to fulfill that request. I apologize. I'm not available for that. I'm sorry, I'm unable to do that for you. I'm unable to extend that deadline. Sometimes it's the words that we say that help us gird our loins, that help us be strong. And sometimes, as someone said, sometimes people just have to hear the word no because they haven't heard it a lot. No. Yeah. Practice doing nothing. I wish I could do more of that. How about you guys? That'd be great. Small steps to self-giving. Think positive. This one carries a lot of weight. It trucks a ton of weight. If you feel confounded, if you feel stressed, if you feel upset, somebody drives by you and you go, that maniac cut me off. If you think to yourself, what if that person is headed to a hospital? What if that person is in dire need? What if that person just has to go? You know, think positive. Give the benefit of the doubt. Yep. Surround yourself with positive people. Be that positive person who others want to be around because they see you as having strength, the steel of resilience of thinking positively. Do what you love. On a number of different levels. Do what you love. What do you guys do that you love? And what about levels of that? It's been a long time since I sat down with a book with actual paper. But I can tuck something in there as I'm driving from 12 o'clock to 1:15 in Pontiac, Illinois, to catch my clinical supervisions down there. And that is books on tape. And for me, that's the compromise that allows me to do something that I love. And just sit there and listen. What do you guys do? What lately have you been doing? What would you like to do today, tomorrow, the next day that reminds you to love yourself? Any suggestions?
Spending time with my grown kids.
Spend time with kids. Yes.
I mean, they're grown up, but I value the time with them very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Learn something new. I love learning.
I like that. I like that. You know, valuing yourself oftentimes is added. And what can you add? There's all kinds of things you can add. You can add money, and you can get a tattoo. It's popular, right? Sort of. I could get some fancy clothes. I could get a little horse on my shirt, right? What am I truly going to value? Something that I've learned, something that no one can take away from me because it's mine, it's in here, right? And I oftentimes tell my students when they'll say, learning this is not going to apply to my career. And I say, learning in general is like exercise. Like that Peloton, right? That's exercise. It's exercise for your central nervous system, not just your brain. Because nerve transmission happens faster and faster because your nerves become myelinated, the sheath around them and the little dots, the nodes of radiator, because you exercised it. And you can exercise it here, here, you can even do here, you can do here. Boy, I had some great exercise with some nice Hispanic food in Phoenix. It's great. Exercise that. There's other things that you can do to exercise that as well. You could ponder, you could contemplate, you could love deeply, you could be proud of an adult child who's doing something they love. All of these things, I'm going to encourage you to fill in the gaps. Take notes on those pages of your priorities of what it is to love. Yes. Yes. What it is to love and what that means to you. Does that mean that you care for yourself so much that you'll tuck in a little bit of a thing to learn, listen to a video, listen to a book on tape, spend time with certain people? How about it? Take that step today. What better time than now? Prioritize your time. Make a list, feed your senses. What is it that you will do? What is one thing? How about we just go through the whole room, put you all on the spot here. What is one thing that you could do, even if you're not going to do it, even if it's just a wish? What is one thing you're going to do for yourself, even if it's a wish? Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Left or right?
Get outside in the sun. It's supposed to be 60, I think, between today and tomorrow. So just get outside.
Nice. You ever stand there in the sun and close your eyes and feel it on your skin and just soak it up? Yeah. Nice. How about it? One thing. One thing.
Today, I should try to walk my dogs. They're little ones, so they just go in the yard. But we were talking about it with my husband yesterday because they love to go in the car, just get out of the house. So if it's going to be 60, I think I should walk them.
Excellent. Excellent. How about
Trying to make it to the gym after this.
it? Make it to the gym.
It was
Yeah.
free time this week.
Make it to the gym. You know what? If you go to the gym and you do one, you will make it to the gym. It's true, right? I joked, but what I'm talking about is incremental improvement. I am not an Olympic athlete. You wouldn't know it from my svelte figure, but I am not an Olympic athlete. But if I make it to a gym and I do 1 or 5 or 12, 3 sets of 12, there's a continuum there. I'm moving along. But day 1, I take the first step, the baby step, and I get to the gym. And I actually dress and get out on the floor and go, what am I gonna do? Hot tub, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm still at the gym, it's day 1. Give yourself the grace of allowing yourself to not be perfect. In fact, allow yourself to be terrible at it. Go get better, but give to yourself. How about it? One thing you're gonna do, going forward, please.
Go to bed at a reasonable hour.
I love it. Go to bed at a reasonable hour. That's a challenge. That's a hard one. But if your challenge is that this thing or the Samsung Taskmaster or the iPhone Taskmaster is what commands your attention and you kind of go, this is my entertainment relaxation, right? We put a limit on that on kids, right? Okay, enough screen time. Enough screen time, because it's funny, there was a program up north in Westmont and they called it Screenagers. And the whole idea was we teach teenagers how to limit their screen time. How about it? One thing you're going to do for yourself going forward?
I'm gonna go for a walk.
Go for a walk. Like that one a lot.
I'm gonna push myself harder with every run.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Just a little bit. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete. Right? Just a little bit. Right? I'm going to add 2 blocks to this run. I'm going to get used to that. And then I'm going to add 2 more blocks to this run. Good for you. Good for you. How about it?
I'm gonna give up my phone at night. I have a hard time getting off playing games.
Good for you. Good for you. What do you think will be the most helpful way of doing that?
Turn it off.
Okay.
I think I'm going to buy the most gorgeous piece of steak and put it on a grill and just cook that.
You gonna eat it too because you're missing a step?
If my kids save me some, yeah.
So what we're talking about is ritual, right? My wife makes a cup of coffee every day. She's got special coffee, it's low acid. She has a special cup, it says honey bunny on it. It's enormous. It's way bigger than she needs. She goes into the kitchen, she puts it in, she takes her special cup, she washes the Keurig ring. She puts it in, she closes it down, it blinks at her for a minute, she goes, the biggest one. She's gonna drink exactly 2 sips. Special cream, no Splenda, no sweetener, 2 sips. It's a ritual. It's a ritual. What is she doing for herself? She's not caffeinating herself. What's she doing?
Routine.
Routine? Yeah. What's it help her do?
Start your day.
Yeah. Starts her day, gets her going, right? And what's more, she's taking care of herself. Taking care of herself. And her kids.
Yeah.
It's a ritual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you absolutely positively have to have the best cut of steak for that? No, but it's important. Why is it important? I'm taking care of myself. I've decided already I'm getting the best. Right? Or maybe I don't care for the best. What I care for is I want that sirloin. It's not filet, it's sirloin. Because
Right.
I qualify that as the best because it's the deepest flavor or whatever. It's I'm taking care of myself. I do it for a lot of people. What are you gonna do to take care of yourself today moving forward? Anybody?
Plan a play date with my granddaughter.
Oh, I love that.
Best de-stressor around.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's something about some of those things. I mentioned dogs, I mentioned grandkids, especially rolling around on the floor screaming. Yeah, even though that is loud and noisy to me, that's a distressor. Because what do? Do I play with my phone during that? Yeah, no, I'm on the ground too, right? Look, Patrick left the car, running it over your tummy, and then she giggles. Because everything flies out the window. For me, everything flies out the window with my grandkids. Yeah. Yeah, it's as much for me as it is for her. How about it? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd say take a walk, but also notice things on the walk, just like whatever is floating by or whatever, just kind of notice it and enjoy it.
Absolutely. What a wonderful reference when we get introduced Francine Shapiro, who's a PhD psychologist who took a walk through the woods during a particularly traumatic time in her life. She was on a path, there were trees on either side of the path. And she found as she was moving forward, looking left, looking right, looking left, looking right, that somehow that calmed her more. It made her relaxed. She was in a crisis. It felt a lot less like crisis. And she took that back to the office and wrote about it in her journal. And from there, years and years later, now has a research-supported intervention for trauma. It's called eye movement desensitization response. Who would have known unless she took a walk through the woods and noticed things? Absolutely. Do you have one you'd like to mention? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. There's a lot of suggestions. What do you guys think?
Set aside some time to read.
I love that. I love that.
I read a lot of phones or text, just sit and just read it.
You and me, we resonate with that. I listen to books on tape all the time. I just download like 8 books. I'm gonna read them. I'm gonna listen to them, right? You know what? You crack a book and it's that parchment smell, and you feather the pages to get them to not stick because they've been sitting there cramped on a shelf for a long time. And I kind of talk to it. It's all right, good boy. You and me will spend some time together. You'll be my excuse to sit outside. Yeah, love it. How about it? Things you're going to do today for new ideas, something you want to capture. Anything? There's been a lot. What are we going to do with these things? It's a good start, but the act itself is important. Awesome. But start small and act now. Getting to the gym and doing one is enough. Wanted to mention the EAP before we finish up. Any comments, mentions, anything like that before we get going? Our focus has been taking care of you taking care of you, and noticing what's important about that, and delineating time. The EAP is here for you. Anybody? Pop quiz. What does EAP stand for? Ooh, you guys are good. You've seen the poster. Awesome. Face-to-face sessions. Yes, I'm a counselor. That's a cornerstone of EAP going back over 100 years. EAP paid for therapy before insurance did. Way back in 1900. Yep. It is confidential. It is prepaid. It doesn't cost anything, right? There's unlimited telephone consultation. You can talk to somebody if you're in crisis, a real life licensed counselor. And of course, people like me who are in person as well as remote are all over the United States just waiting for you to call. How do you get access to it? I'm sure you've seen the posters with the 1-800 number, but mycigna.com. That's the easiest way. A chat box will pop up. It is not a robot. It's a real live counselor from Minnesota, actually, who's talking to you about the EAP. They will help you find what you need. It is a household benefit. It is not just for you. It is not just for family. If you have a roommate, whomever you designate as part of your household can utilize this benefit. They'll give you a number of counseling sessions, might be 5. That's not your limit. It's not 5 per year, or 5 per month, or 5 per week. It's 5 per issue. So I'm having trouble sleeping because I'm having stress at work, and my kid is giving me troubles because they're in a relationship that is stressing them out, and I need them to have counseling too. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I've seen them do that. They are generous with counseling authorization. Okay, just know. Work-life support, such as elder care, child care, and pet care. I wish they paid for these. That would be awesome. They don't pay for them. They help you find them. I've used this a number of different times. I myself have 7 dogs. Who has the dogs? I have 7 dogs, and I love them dearly, just like my children, probably more. And sometimes I have to go out of town. Cygnus helped me many times to find a place where they can accept 4 wiener dogs, about this big, 2 GSPs about this one, and 1 slobbery 163-pound Italian Mastiff. Let's take a look at him. He's the size of another person. Let's take a look at him, and they say, we don't even have a kennel that he can fit in. He needs a room with a couch. And help me find places for all 3 of them to go. You should see him, Jackson Avery, in the backseat of my wife's Hyundai Elantra, touches. You know, he's like, please don't go around the curve. No. They're very, very, very wonderful, helping me find what I need. Childcare, I don't need anymore, but I'm used to it one time. If you lose yours in a pinch, they will help you find it quickly. Anyone can do a Google search. Please just know that you'll be left with 15 or 20 places to call and go, no? Okay, call the next one. No? Okay, call the next one. Right? They'll do the research for you. They're like a concierge for you guys. Convenience services, what they mean is if your identification is ever stolen, they have a whole unit dedicated to getting that back on track. Financial services, you can talk with a CPA or a CFA, Certified Financial Advisor. That's the person you pay hourly, not based upon what you invest in. They cannot suggest any specific funds that they benefit from. It's generally about a $250 service. I really encourage people to use it once a year to get things straightened out for retirement and such. If you have taxation issues, CPAs are great at answering questions about taxation issues. All 3, as many times as you want or need. And legal services, as a licensed clinical professional counselor, I have many legal questions that are oftentimes asked of me that are outside of my scope of practice. But I can pick up the phone, I can call Cigna, and many times they can get me an attorney to talk to right in my 50-minute session to answer those questions. You can do it as many times as you want. It can be a legal issue for you, a legal issue for your household. It doesn't matter. Okay? They're very helpful. The only thing you can't talk to them about is labor law. They won't allow you to speak about employment law. Any questions or concerns about this benefit? Please.
Is it for full-time and part-time?
Yes. Anyone who is a W-2 employee of the organization in any capacity has access to this benefit. Well, I thank you very much. I appreciate all of the input and wisdom that you have shared. I hope you have gained as well. If anybody wants a copy of these slides, I'd be happy to email them to you. I've already emailed to me. If you want extra copies of the handouts, you're welcome to the extra copies that I have. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom today. I appreciate it. There is
Do you
a,
have it in the presentation? No?
it is not in the presentation.
Okay, so for those of you, please, if you don't mind, there's a QR code. I put it on the chat, but I'll go get it up here, but I'll just kind of go around and if you can go online and